You don't know this stuff. Okay, I'm going to talk generalities here. I'm going to talk some generalities, okay? Things that you have to know, okay? That obviously we don't know is a defense right now, okay? When we are in base, okay, or let's just talk formationally. What forms a slot set? Okay, let's talk personnels first, okay? 21 and 12. Those two defenses, those two offensive personnels, you can have a pro set and a slot set, okay? So let's just talk about what you need to do is a defensive football player in this system when you're playing, what do we call against base? That's our base stuff. That's what we call Pittsburgh. We call Tampa. Those defenses are we consider base defenses. We have 3 linebackers in the game. We have 4 DBs and we have 4 down linemen. Okay? When an offense breaks the huddle, okay, first of all, we're going to make our huddle calls, okay? And first thing that has to happen is we are always going to identify either a solid side or a strong side or a flex side, something like that. Something's going to set the call, okay? If we say we're going to set a solid side, what does that mean? To the Y. How do we do that? How is that possible? Whose responsibility is it to set a solid side? The Mike linebacker. So what makes up, Zaire, what makes a solid side? Possibly. The down Y. What do you have to do to be able to set the solid side? What do you have to identify in the defense?
Know where the receivers are?
Yes, correct. So you need to know where the two wide receivers are, because in any of both these personnel, there's only 2 wide receivers on the field. Okay, so when we're setting the solid side, you have to identify the wide receivers Y. What is that telling you?
Pro or slot?
Is it pro or slot? So should it ever happen that you set the solid side, does it really matter whether there's a fullback in the game in a formation like that, or whether there's another, you put the fullback or a U tight end there like it is in 12? Does it really make a difference to us? Why not, Roach?
You still got to determine if it's pro or slot, and you still got to look at the wide receivers.
Right, so if you will see that the wide receivers are opposite each other, we know it's a what? What kind of set? Doesn't make a shit where this last guy is. As long as these 2 are opposite each other, it's always going to be a pro set. You're always going to make the solid side to the field, and or if it's in the middle of the field, which way? Left. Okay? So if you, regardless of where the tight end is, of what happens, if it's set like that, where's always the solid side going to go? Okay, so I understand this. How many times have we had it where they've come out and which we call A-slot trips, and we've made the call this way? Should that ever happen? It should never happen. Because as soon as you see these 2 wide receivers together, in 21 or 12, the solid side's always going to go this way. It should always, 100% of the time, for no other reason, should always go left. Okay? So, now let's talk about, so that's solid side. That's going to the Y. Or, it's going opposite, always, what? Slot. It's going to the Y. Okay, so in a pro set, to the Y. Obviously, slot equals opposite to slot. Okay? So, is it possible to do that without identifying where the 2 wide receivers are? Think about how many times we screwed that up during spring ball. And why does that happen? Because we're not looking around and we're not identifying where the wide receivers are first. That's the first thing the Mike linebacker has to do. That's the first thing that a DB has to do. Whether you're every linebacker, every DB, the D-line for that matter, you don't even need, I mean, if you see both wide receivers together, you know that you don't even have to wait for a call. You know that the solid side call is going to go away from those two wide receivers. What if it is a zone dog? Generalities once again. What if it's a strong set? What does that mean? It's going where? To where? To the speed side. What designates that? Is that different than a solid side? Why? Right. So you have to identify who is. Where the two wide receivers are, right? So if the two wide receivers together, Jonathan Rose, where would the strong side be? What if that's a fullback and that's a wide receiver? Which way would you make that strength call? Why? Because what? There you go, because that's two speed and they're open. Okay? What if it's, that doesn't happen very often in college football? What if it's together? What if it's like that? What if it's a pro set? Huh? Why? Because they're the most dangerous, right? What if it's like this? To the field or where? Okay, so now let's talk about, so that's pretty easy, right guys? It's pretty easy. So we talked about a solid side. We've talked about a strong side. What about flex? Away from the Y. So all you have to do is figure out where you would make the solid call, right? And flip it. Okay? So, once again, where's the flex side? Now where's the flex side? Now where's the flex side? Right? To the boundary or where? What if it was in the middle of the field? Where would you make it? To the right instead of left, right? So that's pretty easy once again, correct? That's identification of 90% of what we do in base personnel. Think about the amount of times we screw that up. Okay, so let's say, so now the calls are made. Because a Mike linebacker is responsible for any of those calls. He has to make any of those calls. So all you got to do is really listen to what he's doing. What he's saying, and then you can line up off of what he says. Okay, so it's strong, solid, and flex. Okay, we'll get into some of the other things here in a minute. Okay, now, let's just there's always going to be a center and two guards, right? Everybody understand that? Once that call is made, okay, if I'm the D-line just has to hear the solid call, the strong call, or the flex call, right? Vincent Valentine, if the call is a East Coast defense, what is that setting? Sets what? 3. So are you waiting for a strong call, a flex call, or a solid call? Solid call. Okay? So you're setting the 3 technique there. Okay, why? Because is that an over defense or is that an under defense? So it's an over defense. What if it is a strong or a flex? Oh, Greg McMullen, what is that setting? Is that setting as an end? Is that setting the bubble side end? Is that setting the bubble or is that setting the 3 technique? And just so you guys understand, in a defense, when the nose is there, okay, when the shade side or the 2-eye side, That's what I refer to as the bubble. Okay? That's the 3 technique side. Okay? So when I say does it set the bubble, that means does it set the nose side. Okay? So when I say strong or flex, what is that saying? What do I want set there? When he says strong right or flex right or strong left or flex left, is that set in the shade 5 side, or is that shade set the 3 technique side? Shade side, 100% of the time. Okay? So the only time, so solid calls are going to happen in our base defenses. West Coast or East Coast, we're going to set the 3 technique side. In West Coast, that's under, so we're setting the bubble side. So knowing that, Buck linebacker, Thomas Brown, when we set the bubble side, are you traveling to the bubble side, or are you traveling to the 3 technique side? So where does the 3 technique travel, David Santos? Huh? The will linebacker, does he travel with the 3 or the bubble? The 3. Okay, so is a base roll. All the time, our buck will always be on the shade side. Our Mike's in the middle, somewhere in the A gap or B gap, depending whether it's under or over, and our will linebacker will always be traveling to the 3 technique side. All the time. 100% of the time. Okay, so that's base. So whether that tight end's, so if the tight end's there, then we call in over defense, meaning an East Coast defense, Pittsburgh, Camden, Tampa, Jersey, anything like that. That is our basic look, basic alignment. It's always going to be the will to the 3 technique side, Mike in the middle, Buck on the other side. If we are West Coast, meaning Frisco, could call Vegas, anything under, all we'd have to do is take this tight end and go this way and make a solid right call, and it's still the Buck to this side, the Mike in the B gap now, the will still on the 3 technique side. That's 100%, guys, in our defense. Okay? So, but really all you need to know to get lined up and just basically get lined up is without putting any wide receivers in there. Okay? If I did want to put a guy like that and a guy like that, if we say here, you hear a East Coast defense and we say solid left, that ought to be the first thing that you would be lined up in without identifying anything else. Correct? And if it was under and the tight end was on this side, it'd be the other way. The Buck would be on the ball, the Mike would be in the B, and the will would be right there. Okay? Everybody understand that so far? Any clue? So there should be really no reason to not be able to get lined up. If you understand what a solid, which defense constitute a solid call, which ones have a flex call, a strong call, we make those calls for you. Then you just got to listen to what the mic says. The mic has to be on point and has to know what call to make. But as long as the mic makes a call and we all line up accordingly, according to what the mic linebacker says, then we'll be able to adjust to anything somebody does to us, even if he makes the wrong call. But the worst thing that can happen is that we line up on our own. Because when we line up on our own and we're not all on the same page, it doesn't work. Our rules will not work. Now, it's going to fall on our mic linebackers to make those correct calls, and it won't get them to that point. But if we just all listen to them and trust what they're telling us, 99% of the time we'll be right and we won't have many issues. Okay? Once we hear that solid call, the flex call, the strong call, once we hear those, what is it? What is our base alignment rules if I'm a corner? Jonathan Rose. I'm talking about just a basic zone defense. Where are you going to align? You're going to line up on number 1 to your side, right? So if it was a pro set, There you go. There's a right corner or left corner. There's a right corner. Where, if I didn't tell you anything, Charles Jackson, where's the safety going to align? If you're the left safety, what are you looking for?
I'm going to look for number 2.
Number 2 to your side.
Yep.
That puts you right there. Okay? What about the right safety? There is no number 2 to his side. So where would you align? Say again? Like a ghost tight end. There you go. There is no tight end because we're not going to line you over there, correct? Okay, so that puts you right where you are. So is a linebacker. Once a solid call is made, or flex call, or strong call, Courtney Love, if I'm a will linebacker, once I get that call and I know which side I'm going to line on, what do I have to identify right there? Huh? What are you going to line on? Who are you going to line on? Number 2 to your side. So, you two are basically aligned on this, basically off the same guy, right? What about the buck linebacker? There is no number 2 on his side. Right? So where's your number 2? Okay? So once again, that's your base alignment. Okay? So you'd be lined up right here in the bubble. You're always going to be lined on the bubble side. So there's your number 2. Where would you align there?
I would stay Pelini. Let's stay inside split the difference. That's still 2 0 right there?
Doesn't matter, does it? Does that matter who those guys are? There's a base roll. Where would you align? Number 2. Where's 2? Huh? Maybe. Maybe not. Your base rule is to line up on that guy. Then your technique will tell you where to line up, whether I line up head up or off of him, right? Doesn't make a shit who that guy is, who those guys are. If you get a call, your initial rule is to go cover down, right? Same with the will linebacker, right? So if the buck's there and this guy's out here, where's the will going to line? Where's the safety going to line? To number 2. Then we can make our adjustments from there. Who's the mic going to line on, David Santos? Number 3. Where's 3 there? Okay. What if they line up like that? Once again, I'm just talking generalities. Okay? Talk to me. Who's that guy? Thomas Brown. No, what number?
4.
Huh?
4.
4 strong. So we count from outside in. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. He makes 4. What about that guy? He's 1. So if I'm this guy, who's your number 2?
This point, I was looking backside to that tight end.
But who's the closest guy to you?
1.
No, that guy means nothing to you, first of all. Okay? So who's your number 2? That guy is 4 strong, and he's 2 weak. So that's the guy you're aligning off of. Okay? And he's my initial guy that's my biggest concern, but that could change in a hurry, couldn't it? How? How can that change for you? If he comes that way, what is he? He becomes your number 2. What if he goes there and he comes here? Who's now your number 2? Right. Okay? But if we say a line on that guy, a line on that offset, on that guy, that's my number 2. That's initially where my eyes are, right? Okay, so what if they line up like, like that? And It's Frisco, and it's a solid right call. Where's the buck going to align? 2 which way? Where's the solid call? Solid right? So where's the buck going to align? Here? Where's the mic going to align? Where's the will going to align? Huh? Where's that? That guy right there, right? Any issues with that? Now let's go at dead side. Once again, I'm not calling a defense. I'm just saying it's flex right. Flex right. Where's the buck go? Where's the call? What's the mic say? Where would you make the call? Flex call. You make that call to the backside tight end? Look where the wide receivers are. So if you were to make a solid call, which way would you make that solid call?